I'm calling Ben Time Traveler. Today's Saturday, February 13th.
Hello.
Ben, it's Dallas.
What up?
Hey, I'm recording this, and I wanted to stop when we had that conversation about that great idea that you had, and I just wanted you to share that with everyone, and then get into your relationship with Pete and Deb.
All right, no problem. Yeah, I was talking to you earlier. I thought it'd be a good idea if maybe people that really care for Pete and stand with Pete and everything, what he's about, if they could make a quick little video and show their love towards Pete and send it to you, and then you can send it to me, and I'll edit it all together, and we'll put a nice little video together for Pete and Deb and show the love, you know. So.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome idea. If you guys want to do that, email me at dallasaclub, DALLASACLUB @hotmail.com, and I'll look at them, and I think that's an awesome idea. And Ben, you were there at the beginning of the Oregon Freedom Revolution, and we're now calling it Finicum Camp. Camp Finicum, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. Actually, me, Jim, and Ken and Michelle were there a month before that. We started off on a journey going to California and reading California for a seminar about geoengineering with Dwayne Wiggleton there. And from there, we drove up to Burns, Oregon to interview Sheriff Ward to find out where he stands, if he's a constitutional sheriff or not, And we went there and we interviewed him, and when we left, we all three thought he was a damn good guy. Of course, he was saying what we wanted to hear. But we found out later on down the road he sure ain't a constitutional lawyer. But, yeah, it started a month before that, and then we came back home and we learned about the rally to show support for the Hammonds, and we decided to go down there for 4 or 5 days and show our support for the Hammonds, and things turned into something different. They took over the refuge there, and we decided to stay and report on it as individual news reporters, or whatever you want to call us. I just like to learn as much as I can and show people as much as I can of the truth. And by being there, that's exactly what we were doing. Yeah, it ended up being a long 6.5 weeks, but a lot of events took place that need to be brought to awareness, for everybody in this country to see what's going on with the land grabs and I talked to Charlie McDuff from Fox News Detroit. He's right down here where I'm at, and he was there at the refugee there, and he asked me what I was doing there, and I told him I'm there to reporting the same thing he's doing, reporting the news, the facts. And it's kind of funny because he's the type of person that he like he said to me, he said he don't want to see brother shooting brother. And I get all that. I don't either, But I ask people a lot of times, how many first shots we got to have? They keep firing at us before the American people finally have enough. We don't even get along with each other anymore. I mean, people ain't getting along with their neighbors, and this is all by design, is to keep us fighting and bickering amongst each other. We can't come together on one subject without somebody else having a different view of it, and it's sad. Whether it's geoengineering, the GMO food, the fluoride in the water, whatever the case, whatever the land grabs that they're doing, they're actually doing a land grab down in Detroit right now, and I'm researching it. I'm going to probably report expand a highway down there, and some people don't want to lose their house. But if they don't take the buyout, or they'll just end up taking their property. Period. So you don't got. People think, I own my house. It's all paid for, clear and this. No, you don't never own anything. They can come take it from you anytime they want to come take anything from you. But the same with your gun rights. People say, oh, they ain't going to take our gun rights. They are taking gun rights a little bit at a time. You know, we see it every day. This executive order here, this executive order here, this executive order here. You know, it's to the point, and I don't know how you feel about it, but, you know, I used to think there's a lot more people awake to this, but
Well,
he's awakened a lot more. Don't you agree, Dallas?
well, I'm like I told you earlier, I went into town and it actually shocked me a little bit to know that actually there was a few people awake in my small town here of 120 something people, but that's the whole point here. Is like you said earlier, we're fighting. We can't even go walk next door anymore to each other, let alone you can't even go sit in a room with some teenagers now without them with their heads down texting. They can't even talk to each other.
You know, listen, I like make a point here. I talked about this before. We had a power outage here some years back, major power outage all around us. And I don't know if you remember it, but it was pretty big. And it was like 5, 6 days, whatever it was. But during that point in time, I observed something. And it really amazed me what I observed. And that was people were coming out of their house and literally talking to their neighbors that some neighbors didn't even know neighbors. They didn't even know who their neighbors was because they never had no conversation with them. Just like you said, they're too busy in the TV. They're too busy in the phone. They're too busy on the computer doing this and doing that. We lost that communication in the whole world, actually. We lost the communication to literally be able to sit down from somebody across the table and have a conversation with them. I watch people sit in a restaurant, sitting right across from each other, texting each other
Yeah.
back and forth.
I know,
Literally.
it's sad.
You know? And here's another sad thing. I had a friend of mine come over, and he carries a gun, carries it on his side. And he's very proud of that. But he asked me, well, what did you get from going down to Burns? And I looked at him and said, what do you mean, what did I get? He said, what did you get out of that, all that? Well, I learned something, you know. And that's what it's all about for me, is going and learning and trying to understand the whole thing, right? But I looked at him, I said, well, what did you do the whole month and a half I was gone? He said, I went to work every day. I said, exactly. You ain't stood up for your gun rights at all. He ain't never stood up for his gun rights. But he wants to have his gun rights, but he ain't never stood up for his gun rights. I don't even think my friend even votes, you know, whether people believe it or not. You don't have to vote for a president or this and that, but there's a lot of issues that people can vote on. And they choose not to vote on it. So what happens? The other party comes in and they vote in whatever it is you don't want to happen. You know, like I'm trying to get it on the ballot here for take the fluoride out of the water. It'll save our city money, and we really don't need it. You know, it's been a struggle just to get that going. But that's what I mean. If people want to have their gun rights, but yet they don't want to do nothing about keeping their gun rights. They don't want to voice their opinion. And I'm not saying be violent by any means. Nobody should ever be violent towards any other human being. You know, but we should be able to stand up and voice our opinion without being worried about being arrested for our political beliefs. You know, this ain't China. This ain't Russia, where somebody can sit there and go to a rally or a protest and voice their opinion and get arrested. Hell, you can't even... I remember watching the Bundys, because I didn't get to go to the Bundy Ranch during that time, but I remember watching it, and they had a free speech zone. And I thought to myself, free speech zone? Yeah, that's where you had to go in a little caged-in area to be able to voice your opinion. Well,
Wow.
be able to go anywhere in the United States and voice your opinion. And, you know...
Well, they're drawing the lines for us. They're telling us where to go, how to walk. It's like I said something to one of the guys down here, a neighbor down here. He was talking about, you know, I think it was a guy or kid that fell off a cliff texting, I guess. And I told him, I said, you know, in LA, I believe it is, or New York, that in some of these colleges, they actually have texting lanes. I'm serious. It says walk, text, and I think run. You'd have to Google it. Texting lanes in colleges. I mean, what are we're training ourselves to be robots here.
Well, it's sad. You know, another sad thing is like the water, the poison water in Flint, Michigan. I plan on going to the national rally to protest there. But you know what? I was telling GMN Kenny, yeah, we'll go, we'll voice our opinion, we'll document it, we'll do this and that. But you know what? 5 years down the road, not one person will be held liable for that. And there'll still be children dying, there'll still be people dying from that poisonous, toxic water. But yet nobody's going to be held liable. I watched it with our ambassadors overseas. What difference does it make? Nobody held liable for that. I watched it for Fast and Furious with the Border Patrol agents being murdered, and they're still using them guns today, are still coming up. I guess wasn't there El Chapo there? I guess he had some possession of some of them guns. And still yet nobody's ever being held liable for that. And that's something about Hillary there. She wants to become president. You know why? For she can sit there and pardon herself once she becomes president.
Yeah.
Hopes that she gets there before she, if she ever gets arrested. But she's never going to get arrested. Bill Clinton, here we have a president of the United States of America. People might think this is ignorant, but he's getting a blowjob underneath the Oval Office. And people didn't care.
Yeah.
They didn't care. They still continue to let that man be a president, even though he's a predator. And he is a predator.
Well,
and for his wife, to stand up for her man that let's call it what it is, abuses women, to sit there and stand up for him. What kind of woman is that? And she wants to run for president? She should have kicked him to the curb.
Yeah.
I would have had a lot of more respect for her if she kicked her husband to the curb. But no, she stood with her man. And these are sick people. They really are.